I'm going to show a very stretchy bind off. Good for socks when you're knitting toe up. It is not per the exact rules of who I saw invent this bind off, which I believe it is called Jeny Super Stretchy Cast Off. Could be Jeny Super Stretchy Bind Off. It's not quite per her instructions, but it is something I like, and quite frankly I can remember my own better. So these are the 4.5 inch wide foot size 9 triple E socks, and I'm about to cast off the second one. So let me show you here. What we're doing is we're adding extra yarn into the cast off, so when we pull it around the ankle or calf, it has that extra yarn to stretch. But the good trick is that it doesn't need, if it doesn't need to use that yarn, it doesn't show as being too lofty or too big. So I'm going to knit the first stitch. This is a 1x1 rib on the cuff here. I'm going to knit the first stitch. Before I do my purl stitch, I'm going to yarn over, bring the yarn back up front so I can purl my stitch. Now with binding off, you typically pass one stitch over your fresh stitch. I'm going to take the yarn over stitch and my first stitch, pass it over my purled stitch. So I have one. And now I'll just do a normal bind off. I'll knit my stitch and pass it over. I'm coming to my purl again, so I'm going to yarn over, bring the yarn to the front, pick up the purl stitch, and pull over, pass over the yarn over stitch and the yarn over stitch and the first stitch. I was hoping I could get it a little closer to my camera, but I'm worried that it'll be too blurry for you. So knitting and passing over. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see how the focus works here. I'm going on to a purl stitch now, so I'm yarning over, bring yarn in front, purl my stitch as normal, and now carry over this yarned over stitch and the first stitch that I knit. Knit my stitch as normal, pass over that single that I have for my purl. And so before every purl stitch in my 1x1 rib, I'm yarning over, then I will purl the stitch, then I'll carry the yarned over stitch and the first knit stitch. So here is my knit stitch. I'm going to yarn over, purl, carry both over. And then I'm going to keep doing that all the way across. Now if you were knitting every row, I believe Jeny's instructions are when you're doing a knit stitch to yarn over the opposite way, to go back, to yarn over from the back, knit the stitch, and then pass those two stitches over. However, I'm not doing that. I just do every other stitch. And it seems to work very well. I haven't had any need for it to be stretchier than what this offers. And I already made these socks super wide so that hopefully they won't pinch into the gentleman's ankles or calves when he's wearing them. These are socks from my sister-in-law's father. I have made her mother a few pairs of socks, and I think she finally looked at her dad's feet and said, "Whoa!" His socks cut into his ankles and calves and leave ugly red marks, and it probably is difficult to find bigger socks for people with feet like that. So, and he is an older gentleman, so this will offer him at least one pair of socks. Oops, at that I got all caught up. So again, on my knit stitches I just knit them and bind off as normal. And on my purl stitch I'm yarning over from front to back, bringing the yarn back to the front to purl that next stitch, and then pass over the yarn over stitch and the knit stitch. And I will try to find a link to the original instructions for Jeny's. She also has a super stretchy bind on or cast on that I use all the time. For every hat I make and every mitten I make, I use that cast on. It's very quick, it's easy, you don't have to estimate how much yarn you're going to need for the cast on, so it's perfect. The less fuss to start a project for me, the better. And now I'm going to turn to the side, and I'll just finish this up for anybody who likes to keep watching like I do, or maybe trying to do it as I do it. That's how I've watched all of my knit videos. In fact, I watched a lot of videos for the cast on that I was just mentioning. I think YouTube videos for this sort of thing is pretty sweet. So yarn over, purl, take both the stitches in here. I hope I can show you a little closer. No, it won't focus. I gotta learn a little more about my camera. Yeah. By the way, I'm doing this at 6 something in the morning because I gotta finish these socks and mail them. And it was hard for me to decide to turn the camera on because I slept in a little. I usually get up around 5:30, do some knitting, do some crossword puzzles, drink some coffee, pretend Publishers Clearinghouse comes to my door before I have to be to work at 8. That doesn't ever happen. I don't even participate. Do they still do that? I'm delirious in the morning. There we go. I've been thinking. I wrote a novel for NaNoWriMo not that long ago. Well, it was long ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, called Knit Witch. And I was thinking, how fun would it be to just have videos of somebody knitting, that would be me, and the audio track be like an audiobook of a knitting story, like, oh, I don't know, Knit Witch. First, of course, I have to figure out how to do that audio track part on YouTube. I think they make everything fairly simple. My son watches 1,000 YouTube videos a day. Alright, not a day. That would be bad. But he does watch a lot of YouTube videos. I think that's why he has such a good vocabulary, to be quite honest. But he watches a lot of gamers. And when I told him that I was putting videos up of knitting, and he started watching one with me, he said, Mom, he's 8, Mom, I don't think your videos need to be any more than 5 seconds long. You just wait. He's going to learn to knit. And he's going to love it. And he's going to say, hey, how do I do a stretchy bind off on these socks I'm making for my girlfriend? And I'll say, I know just the YouTube video to watch. Alright, I'm going to slow it up here and show this just one more time. I don't even know. Can I get even closer? Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, there we go. So here's a purl. Here's my stitch. Yarn over, bring to the front, purl. And now I'm going to pull up this yarned over stitch and my original stitch from the last bind off, carry it over the purled stitch. Knit and carry over is normal. Yarn over, purl. No matter how you knit, what style, English style, continental style, the concept's the same on the needle. And then for the last one. Now, before I break my yarn and weave in my ends, I never like this, how this looks here. So, what I do is I find the top of one of the first bind off stitches, and it looks like you're skipping a stitch a little bit. I'm okay with that. And I pull up the two legs that make a V, and I yarn over through the back and pull that yarn through, and then bind off that last stitch. And then that makes for a more even line right there. Oh, still blurry. I'll work on it, guys. I'll figure that out. But now it's super stretchy, and they're done, which makes me happy. Let's see. So here is a lovely pair of socks with the Patton's Koi yarn, made with this yarn here, Patton Koi sock yarn, and I will leave a link in the description for the yarn if you're interested. The pattern there is no link for. There is a similar pattern on Ravelry, I believe, that it's made with sport weight yarn, and I'll try to find that, and I can link that too with the broken rib stitches, which I just think is fabulous for men's socks. That's all. Have a fabulous day. Thanks for watching Christen Knit.